But I don't really break cards the traditional way. So I get the pack open.
Welcome to Kristina's Corner. Today I'm sitting down with someone in the hobby who is notorious. I'm here today with the one and only Card Killer. Mr. Card Killer, thank you for taking the time to sit down with me today.
Pleasure is all mine.
All right. So I know that we'll start with your PC. I know that you PC Ken Griffey Jr. What's your favorite Griffey card?
I'm gonna say that it's got to be the Upper Deck '89. It's iconic, and I've this every time you see that image, I'm reminded of my childhood. So it's actually my favorite card of all time. It always has been. It always will be. There's plenty of them out there, so I do my best to try to control the population sometimes with that card.
Yes, I've seen some of your work with that card. Which, speaking of, how do you find your inspiration to do what you do with your cards?
Well, I don't really see too many people doing that. So I never really drew the inspiration from watching other people destroy cards. But about 5 years ago is when I started putting them into my personal artwork and my paintings. Because, the surface of a refractor card, the colors move about like a rainbow. And you can't really paint that because, paint doesn't move when it's dried on the canvas. So it just one day it occurred to me to combine them into my paintings, so that the paintings would kind of move around as the lights moved or as you moved around the painting. And the process developed from there. And so I started just cutting up and then just gluing them into the paint and then painting over it. And then one day I just figured I've been cutting thousands and thousands of cards over the years, that why don't I just, videotape me doing it one time and put it on Instagram just as like a goof, and call myself a card killer, and apparently things have gone out of control since then, kind of, because it was just from cutting one card up until, what I'm doing now which is just personalizing and customizing individual cards and paintings for people.
Right. And when do you first recall having the urge to kill a card?
I guess when I took a hiatus from my art for a while, from my mid-20s to my mid-30s. And when I got back into it, I had also gotten back into collecting cards for a while. And this was, maybe 2008 or something like that. And, I didn't realize the technology, the big jump that there was between mid-90s and 2008, especially with the refractors and how they look. So, that's the time when I really just figured that I can combine the two somehow, because, as an artist, you want to do stuff that you love yourself in your work, and you want to show that in your work. And cards have been a huge part of my life, and just combining the two just felt so natural. So that's basically how that started.
All right. And how do you pick your victims?
I'm not really, I don't really have like a personal player or team or something that I go after. I'm an equal opportunity killer.
Okay.
Really. And it's just basically what cards have a lot of color in them that I could use, or a card that has a player that has a story, or that I can make a story with. Sometimes it's just the look of the card. If the player is, if it's a bust of a player of his chest up, I used one of those cards to parody the Jaws film, where I had a toy shark attack one of the cards, and it was basically, it was a superfractor, by the way. It was a 1 of 1, but I chose it because the guy was just, his face was in the front and the smile, and it just fit the scene because he wasn't really playing ball, and that wouldn't look right for the movie. So it depends on the way the players are standing in the card, or it depends on how much color is in the card that I cut up, because the colors help me, as you can see in the hats, like you need large patches of color in order to cut that into and put that in and inlay that. So it doesn't really matter the player or the team. It's a matter of color and composition, really. When it comes to the choosing the cards for personalization, though, like when people commission me to do individual cards, or I do individual cards for sale, then it's usually a combination of how cool the card looks to begin with and what I can do with it, or basically how I could spin it into another story, which is almost the same thing. But yeah, it's really not like I hate these players and I'm going to cut this player up. I don't really care too much about that.
If that was the case, I have, as my listeners know, a name or two that I would send you.
Well, I get DMs all the time, Kristina, of people,
really?
Can you please cut this guy up? I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. I was like, thank God you're just doing it to the cards. I mean, because it's like what they do is they see something in me that's really a reflection of them.
Right.
And they're using me to get their aggression out, and then kind of put it out there, which is fine. I mean, I don't mind people sending me cards. Some guy just sent me a Ray Rice printing plate. It's a 1 of 1. I got it here, and it's not a bad card. It's an auto printing plate, 1 of 1 Cyan of his rookie season, and he sent a note saying that this guy abuses women. So take care of this card for me. So I have that on the docket. That's coming up.
All right.
Not too far ahead.
All right. Interesting.
But I get that all the time. I get it all the time.
All right. Your first post on Instagram as Card Killer was on January 24th, 2019. Yeah. It was a 2013 Topps Platinum Football auto of Will Davis. It was a rookie card.
Yeah.
Was this your first reported kill?
It would be in terms of recorded kill.
Okay.
As far as how many cards I cut up into my paintings, you're talking tens of thousands at that point. So that was kind of like the first one that I just wanted to show. Like I said, I had been doing it for years in the name of art, pretty much. And this one, it's not an expensive card. Most of these cards aren't expensive. But it was pretty on camera, and it had a lot of color because it's a 2013 Platinum Football. I use that a lot because they have big areas of color that I can use, especially for the hats. And it was the only card pretty much I had in my hand at the time. So I just pressed record. I didn't really expect it to be what it is today. So it was just kind of having fun.
Yeah.
And then, after a few weeks, you kind of realize where it can go, and then you start revving up. And, I took off from there.
What's the most expensive card you've ever, or if you don't know the expense, maybe a better question would be, was there ever a card that it kind of hurt you to kill?
The first Griffey was the most expensive at the time. I was doing it for a reason. It was to start something called the Griffey Challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And where, there's a cause behind it, and I burned it. But it was kind of like burning, a phoenix dying and something being reborn from it. And calling out to people, to maybe, if you got the grapes to take a shot yourself, make a vid of you in a creative way, destroying one of these Griffey cards to strengthen the legacy of the card is what I was trying to do with it. The card was massively overproduced, And if you take like a card that that you're not going to grade because it's got like a crease in it, or an extremely bent corner, you're going to get a 5 or a 6. It's kind of, I think, worth it in the end to do a Griffey challenge on it, because then your slab 9s and 10s are only gonna appreciate, because you've attached this story and this cause to the card itself, and you're lowering the population. I mean, granted, only one at a time is it's an uphill battle, but I think I'm going to keep pushing it. I'm not going to stop destroying those cards. I'm going to buy them and find different ways of sacrificing them, if you will, for the greater good. And hopefully that would take off. I mean, it'd be fun if it became a thing. I mean, it's been a year and it hasn't, because no one wants to do it. But I wouldn't be surprised if it does eventually.
Yeah. Have you ever, this is a question I'm sure my listeners want answered. Have you ever killed a Michael Jordan card?
I have not killed a Michael Jordan card yet. Not to say that I don't have one on death row, is what you can call it. I got one of these. It was a fairly cheap one, because now they're all so goddamn expensive. But I found one that's a 10-year anniversary of the rookie, made by Fleer, and it's a reprint, obviously. And it's gold. It's beautiful. If you haven't seen this one.
Yes, I have.
And they've probably made a whole lot of these, because you can get these for $25 at the moment.
Right.
And I don't know exactly the feel of the card, but this is going to get cracked. Okay. And I'm going to see what I can do with it. I have my own process, and I may start a YouTube channel for tutorials, because you take the card and you kind of do this to it, and now you have the back, which you preserve, and the front, which you mess with, and then you put them back together.
Yeah, you peel it.
Yeah, that's part of the process of how I customize cards. But that's the only Jordan I have on the docket. But it's not to say it'll be my last, for sure.
And what about Luka?
Luka, I have not touched yet, although I have one that I bid on eBay at the moment, because
I'll go bid it up.
It's one of the rated rookies. I like the rated rookies because I just like the look of it. It's nostalgic for me, because Griffey was a rated rookie, and it's hollow. It's one of the refractor ones, but it's the thing is, I can get one that has a lower grade and customize it, because obviously I'm in all intents and purposes, I'm making it far worse.
No, I wouldn't say that. I, as an art appreciation, like as an art aficionado, I don't know if I would actually say that, but as someone who appreciates art, I love what you do with your cards. I will admit, like, there are some cards that, like, I gasp when I see your videos, but I really enjoy the creative take you put on your cards. And I think that you're putting in two things that I love. And that's pretty much the whole point of Kristina's Corner, is you're taking cards and you're making art out of it, and you're putting them together. I love your hats, which we see too behind you. I've also seen the picture of Spike Lee wearing your hat, which is really cool. And I really enjoy your cards. I wouldn't say you're making it worse. You're just giving it a remix.
Yeah, in the beginning, a lot of people say, this guy is trolling the industry, and he's ruining cards. And in the beginning, that's because that's what I was giving them. Slowly over time, I was showing people that it's a little bit more than that. And what you're kind of doing is if you're combining art and cards, you're doing it with a story. And that's part of the fun, because like from either parodying movies and putting cards into like horror movies, or creating concepts like the Griffey Challenge or the Pete Alonso Treasure Hunt, which is something I did a few months ago. It's always something that, you know, there's a reason for me. I'm not just like blindly like, you know, ripping up cards like a maniac. I mean, there's a there is, you know, there's a story to it, and that's you attach that. That's how I attach you know, my art to the cards, and the cards to the art is through story. And you know, you got to go on Instagram and kind of seek it out to understand it. But most people have gotten the picture, because I show them, you know, what I'm making and what develops and how it keeps changing too, because every couple of months I have, you know, either a new series of something coming out or, you know, new concepts that coming out. And part of my art is that my concepts always change.
Yeah. I like it. And you identify yourself as a cardist. Is that correct?
Yeah, I used that word in because I was just, you know, it was just something to say that, you know, it was just the easy way to combine the two.
Yeah.
And something that rolls off the tongue a little bit easy, so that, you know, if you want to coin something, you know, might as well.
I love that term. So I definitely thank you for bringing that term into my vocabulary. So I know that you talked a little bit about your performance art aspect of the cards, where the cards get put into the pit of Silence of the Lambs or Jaws. And I will say that I know some people who were freaked out when they first saw some of your videos. Did you have a lot of that kind of reaction to you?
When I started doing the parodies and the horror films, it was here and there you get people saying, you know, that they're shaking their heads, or but mostly I get stuff like, this is insane, but I love it. And then you get people who are just saying that they can't wait to see what the next one is. So, you know, I started with Silence of the Lambs. That scene is, the way I would do it now would be different. But back then it was just, I put the card in a paper bag, and I just stuck my phone in with like a little fake basket, and I just played the audio from the scene of the movie. So it's something that took me 10 minutes. And then the next one, I think, was Goodfellas, where I was like, let me go get the props and let me go and see what I can do shot for shot with it. And, you know, when the guy's frozen in the meat truck, instead it was just a cardboard box, and I hung chicken wings. And then I froze a Tom Brady in the freezer for a night, and I shot that, and it was just, I was just having so much fun with it, because it's just like you feel like a kid in a candy store when it's like, oh, what's the next movie that I can parody, you know? And then I did The Shining, and I did Jaws, and they look rather, you know, simple. You know, it's very low budget. There's no budget really. But it takes a hell of a long time to do, because you got to like partially create the sets. And, you know, Jaws was done in my backyard with a kiddie pool. And, you know, I painted the background to the cloud cover, and I had to color the water to match the water in the movie. So there's all these little details that I make sure that at least that they look somewhat, you know, true to the movie, but still like completely fake. And that's kind of the charm of it. And I plan on doing more, you know, in the future. And, you know, I just, you know, just coming up with the ideas is kind of half the fun.
Yeah. Do you take ideas? Like if someone DMs you like, oh, like, I know you did the movie with Brad Pitt, The Box, The Head in the Box.
Yeah. The
Seven?
Seven. Right? That was an early one too, because that was so simple. It was so simple, you know?
Yeah.
But you know, I want to try Alien next, to where I have like, you know, something bursting out of the chest of a card or something. And I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to do it. I may make it look like like it's done in Spaceballs, because that's much funnier.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an early one too. But you know, now it's building sets and doing fun things like that is just,
right.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. It reminds me of being a kid, and I don't know if you did this. You might have, like, acting out your favorite movies as a kid with like your toys, or is that just a
Well,
girl thing
I
with
mean, I've been drawing my whole life.
mm-hmm.
So, my influences come from the movies that I watched when I was a kid. It was a big thing for me. And I put it into my art, like, either with pop art pieces or video games was a big thing when I was a kid. So you see a lot of Nintendo references in some of my pieces.
Yeah.
And the nostalgic feel of that is why I love doing it, because I grew up with that stuff, and it gives me that feeling, and it gives everybody else that feeling too. When I used to watch, I say this a lot too, because it worked itself into my art a lot. The movie The Goonies.
Yes.
From the mid '80s.
Yes.
I used to watch that movie constantly. I still do. I'm crazy about that shit. And I had the idea of, this was around the time that Pete Alonso was breaking the home run record.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the idea of, killing Pete Alonso cards as the home runs were being hit. And then when he broke the record, I was going to kill a rather expensive auto of his. It was the purple parallel number to 250. And I bought that on eBay for like $250. But at the last second, I decided not to kill it, and instead I buried it. And I played all that the Goonies theme music,
Mm-hmm.
throughout the film. And I'm telling people to believe, because it happened in real life. I spent a day going out somewhere and in Brooklyn and digging a hole, not exactly probably legal, but and burying burying the item. And if you look at the film, you could see it play out. And then I dropped all the clues into the Alonsos that I actually did kill. And that's what these guys here are here, the one in the back here. But I have them all on the Instagram page, and you could see the clues and everything. And people have gone out and they've checked it out. And I've seen people try to dig holes, and they send me pictures. They haven't quite gotten that close yet, but I'm still waiting to see if someone can put all the clues together.
So there's still hope.
What's that?
There's still hope.
Yeah, there's still. I mean, there's not really many people going outside that much nowadays anyway. But once it warms up and once people start going out again, maybe some people will take a few attempts at it, a few shots, and then we can conclude that movie. I'm looking forward to finishing it.
Yeah.
But definitely, The Goonies was a full inspiration for that piece. And I have art. The artifacts are pieces of art. The Alonso themselves are cards. And
well, the casket for the Pete Alonso is gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, I buried that along with it, so it's like it's there. There's a piece of art buried with it, and like I said, that's going to be part of the movie. That's going to be part of the finish if it actually happens. I mean, it could sit out there forever.
Yeah, so it's a lockbox that you locked.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have the key, or is the key buried with the Pete Alonso?
I have the key.
Okay.
And the idea is once someone finds it, they need to get in touch with me, and then we'll hook up, and I'll say I need a few shots or whatever for the conclusion of the movie. But yeah, they got the card. Basically, that's just as easy as it gets. Now finding it is another thing, but I've left not such difficult clues. I don't believe they're so difficult to clues.
I'm from the Northeast, and I don't know the exact location of it, but I recognized a few things and put some things together myself.
People have come real close. I mean, people are at the right place, and I'm always telling them, like, I'm going to say warm or cold. I don't mind telling them that they're on the right path or they're on the wrong path. So and people have gotten close. They've had to give up, but they said, someone actually said, I'm going to go out there with a metal detector one day. And I was like, more power to you. I was like, that may help a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because that lockbox is like solid, a solid piece of metal.
Right. I'm hopeful that maybe the country opens up and I can get back east before anyone else. I don't collect baseball, but I would definitely put something in that lockbox.
Yeah, maybe the next, if someone finds it, and I'll do it again. I'll do another city, and it may be a Jordan. We'll see.
Oh, okay. I will fly to whatever city that is then and find it for sure. So I know I want to point out you have this really cool mask on, and you turned around twice and I saw K. So this is a mask made from patches, correct?
Yeah, these are all victims, I guess you could say. I've always used the cards for one reason or another, but the patches are usually where I do the art.
Mm-hmm.
So when I remove the patches, I don't want to just toss them. I want to use them for something. So I used it to make the mask. The back has KK. There's a medallion here.
Yep.
That's a Hall of Fame medallion. This is the first mask. I have a whole batch of patches. I don't know if I'm going to make a second one or if I'm going to start a jersey, because a jersey is a big undertaking.
Yeah.
But, the more I wear this mask, the more ragged it gets. So I may have to move on from this one. You know how Spider-Man, wears like this sock basically at first, and then he gets a really nice suit. Maybe I should go and get a Comic-Con suit or something.
A card killer suit. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, they make Comic-Con. They make that stuff now. You can hire someone to make a crazy, super villain.
People who make Comic-Con costumes. Yeah.
Awesome. You gotta give me their number.
Yeah, for sure. I will. And where can fans get your customs? Like, how do they just contact you on Instagram? Do you have a website? How can people contact you, like, if they want a custom card?
At the moment, I'm only on Instagram.
Okay.
Like, I've chose not to really go other routes and other social media platforms, just simply because Instagram's so well-rounded. It satisfies pretty much every need. You can always see everything kind of up front. Everything else, it'll just be like double work, and I'd rather work on the art than having to go and do multiple platforms. So people DM me straight up. If they want something, pussy.
Thank you.
So they, just commissions. Like, they say they're interested in this or that. Whether or not they want something themed is up to them. A lot of people, what's catching on now is me customizing their logo of their company into a card. And I did that for Sentenced to Prism recently. And I did it for Chris G613 recently, who's another big powerhouse in the hobby. And I've got one on the that I'm working on right now. This guy, he's got this logo that looks like an F, kind of like a Van Halen F almost.
Yeah.
And that one is going to be done soon. And I'm just doing commissions now, where I'm doing a Yoshi for a DJ. And it sounds crazy, but it's cool. And that's basically how people get in touch with me. Just, DM works fine.
Okay. All right. And they find you at Card Killer. So I know that you have something in store for us today.
Oh yeah, I was going to do a card break with you. Maybe like this is something that you could keep a tradition with. Like,
all right. Yeah.
with your guys, they do some card breaks. But so I got a few packs of Donruss Optic. It's not basketball, but it's close enough. And but I don't really break cards the traditional way. So I get the pack open. Oh, it's out again. You may want to speed this up
Okay.
when you're editing because it's not coming through.
Okay.
Let's see if I can.
Yeah.
Kristina, it wouldn't go through. But
there's probably something really like thick and awesome in there. It might be like who knows? It's a baseball, so I don't know what's in there, but some kind of.
Well, we got this guy.
Okay.
With a nice hole in him.
Very nice.
That is, let's see, Envel de los Santos, Enyo or something. And here we got that guy's got a nice hole in him too.
All right.
Salvador Perez.
I can honestly say I've never seen someone break cards that way. That's a
no. I mean, I don't touch the corners, so the corners are really nice and sharp. So they're not too bad. They got a hole in the middle, but that's all right. That's Freddie Freeman, and this guy is damaged in the back, Francisco Lindor. So I'll customize those for your audience.
All right.
Maybe you could do something with them.
For sure. I will definitely, we will definitely be doing some giveaway for Card Killer Customs. So thank you for that. Do you have any questions for me about House of Jordans or Kristina's Corner, or did you have anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't touch on?
Nothing specific. I started watching your show and I really like the format of it. And you guys have like that pro touch to it now where you're adding all these graphics to it, and you guys are in your own little studio with the right equipment. So it's a nice setup you guys have going on.
For sure. We were an audio podcast for a long time, and then really Chris's brother, who's my co-host and boyfriend. His brother is a movie and creative editor. So he was like, you guys have to be on YouTube, and like I will like help with the production. So we are very fortunate that we have creative people in our family that we can call upon to really up our game.
For sure. Definitely. Keep at it, man. It's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, Mr. Card Killer, I thank you for being on my show today. And I look forward to seeing the art you come out with in the future, especially those custom cards that you just promised.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoy what you do, and keep on doing it. And thank you so much for being on Kristina's Corner.
Thank you so much for having me.